Welcome to my bookshelf tour. This is the overall view of my bookshelves. So starting with the left hand side, that little bookshelf is cookbooks. Then the next one is photo albums. And then we go into the books, which I will go into each of those shelves in detail. So the first one here is my poetry shelf. And then go into my Shakespeare shelf, and those other books hold things from weddings, funerals, plays I've been to, that kind of stuff. The next is a shelf of hardcovers that I haven't read. The book in the middle is actually a loaned book, so once I read that, I will give that back. The next shelf is kind of reference, puzzle books, whatnot, and a knit doll I made a long time ago. And the bottom shelf is mostly journals. And then we'll come up to the next shelf. So this is the shelf of, these are the books that I have read and I really like. So I've decided to keep them. I will reread them. These are kind of my favorites. I don't keep most of my books once I've read them. And then I got my mother-daughter section there and a cute little tea set in there. And then we go down. The next shelves are paperbacks that I have not read. So I just sort them by size. So these are ones I have not read. They're on my TBR. The next is the mass markets that I haven't read. And then the next size up of books I haven't read. And then on the left is kind of smaller ones. And then up to the largest size paperbacks that I have not read. So go to the next shelf is my little cat shrine and Heartstopper books. I do have all the Heartstopper books, the Nick and Charlie and whatnot. I've loaned those out right now. And my little cat shrine. So we got my Bonnie and Clyde and Arthur. And then we go down to, so I have the John Green books on the right. I have read The Fault in Our Stars, but I want to keep that one. But I haven't read the other two yet. And then in the middle is a bunch of nonfiction. And then I've got the Dragon Tattoo, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books on the left that I have not read. The next shelf is kind of my Nana and Papa shrine and a sign I got from a friend. And behind that, there's actually, I have some classic books behind the friend sign, and behind this one is some really old beat up mass market paperbacks. Anyway, so they're kind of hidden behind. The next shelf is kind of the Christian shelf. And then on the left-hand side there, the very far left, the God's Christmas Promise is actually a story that is a recordable storybook. So my Nana and Papa have read that. They took turns reading it, and they have both since passed. So that's a treasure I have. And at the bottom is my Michelle sign that is done by calligraphy by a Hallmark artist from a friend. And then the left and the right are my bookmarks, so I pick bookmarks that match the books I'm reading. And behind that is a bunch of Christian books, I believe, that I've held on to. And then we're going to come up to, this is the kind of classics down to kids section. So this first shelf is some hardcover classics into the Bronte sisters and then my Jane Austen. I have read the Pride and Prejudice, but I'm keeping all the Austens together. I need to pick up Sense and Sensibility. I've been on the lookout for it. I had it, I read it, and I got rid of it at one time, but that's the only one missing from my collection. The next shelf is more hardcover classics. I've read To Kill a Mockingbird, but I've got the next one there. Picture is actually my dad's family when he's, I think, 5 years old. They came over from England. The next shelf is more classics. So the left is the rest of the hardcover, the smaller ones. And then into some like newer printed copies of some classics, into older paperback classics. And then we go into a little bit more kids. So we've got the Charles Dickens books on the left-hand side. I'm currently reading David Copperfield. That's in there. And a stack of hardcover kids books over to my Anna Green Gables collection on the right-hand side here. And then more kids books. So big storybooks on the left, and then stack them in the middle. A Tree is Nice, which is a very old, cute storybook. I really like trees, so my friend got me that. Behind that is some Winnie the Pooh, Where the Lilies Bloom series, and some Little House on the Prairie books, a couple of those old ones. So that's my whole collection, and I am hoping to do an in-depth. I'll do shelf by shelf. I have some older classics in there that are pretty interesting, some, early 1900s, whatnot. I have a poetry book with a letter in it. Anyway, so I'll go through. I'm hoping to do shelf by shelf in detail. There are a couple more shelves. They are my husband's, but I will show them. So the one on I'll just go up close. So the one on the right is the Stephen King shelf, and the one on the left is various other things. So Lord of the Rings. They're not my shelves, so I do organize them. So we'll go down, lots of Star Wars things, Stephen King all the way down, and then those are his miscellaneous his TBR on the left-hand side for the most part. But he's read most of these Stephen Kings, and he does collect the hardcovers. So that is the end of my bookshelf tour. I will end on this one: rain, tea, and a good book.